This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Friday happy hour show, which we haven't had in, since the last Ali Frazier fight. It's been a long time.
Well, at least you got the banner. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. At least you got the banner right side up this time.
Before we get started with what our show is about, which is remembering the Sandpiper with some very special guests, we are doing a little bit of a fundraiser on the Facebook right now. Probably if you're watching on Facebook, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that we're trying to raise a little bit of money to cover the expenses. Boy, you look really short in the picture. You look like you're slouching.
Well,
maybe you need a few phone books on your chair.
You look like a Teletubby with those things on your ears.
Oh, here we go. We're up to $865 of the $2,500 we're trying to raise. We'll keep the fundraiser open until 6 o'clock. And that is, yes, Tom, you can. And that is for the expenses for the March 2nd event that we're having at the Fort Myers Beach Women's Club. And that includes Stephen Clark and Wayward Souls. So if you're up for donating a little bit of money to help us with the expenses, that's great. If not, that's also okay. So I'm guessing.
Take it out of your hide.
Look at Chelsea's. Chelsea, by the way, used to work for Fort Myers Beach and now is running the Gateway Services District where we live. And she says her grandmother was the assistant manager for the Sandpiper for many years. So a lot of memories going around, and we're going to introduce all of our guests right now. And welcome to Hollywood Squares. I am your host, Ed Ryan, and this is our co-host here. So
there's no co-host in Hollywood Squares.
Chris Zach is in the upper box next to us. Melanie is Chris's daughter, who is in Juneau, Alaska. And Paul owned 2 units in the Sandpiper, and then had to herd the cats in order to sell the Sandpiper to London Bay. So I want to start with Chris. Chris, you and your family built the Sandpiper back in 1969. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So tell us why you did that.
Why did we do that? I think there were times when we wondered that same question. The first year was rough, but my dad always had a dream. I just a quick thing. He had an 8th grade education, son of a immigrant, learned to speak English in elementary school. So that was a big dream, to own your own motel someday. And he went on to have a very large appliance store in Wisconsin, and that provided the background for the next financial stage. So he waited till I got out of college because he wanted us to have a college education. And he could hardly wait because he only waited like 6 months. And then he said, "Would you like to go to Florida and build a motel with me?" And being young and dumb, I said, "Sure." And he flew me down, and the rest is kind of history.
So what did you go to school for? Did it have something to do with what you could, use for the building of the motel?
Oh, that would only make sense. Absolutely not. I was in pre-med and bailed out just before, actual med school. So I ended up being a medical technologist, and actually was in open heart when Community Hospital in Fort Myers was doing the first open heart in Fort Myers. So no background.
Now, Melanie, you sent some pretty cool pictures. Like you grew up in that resort. You grew up on the beach, and now you're in Juneau, Alaska, which I don't know what the hell you're doing in Alaska after being in Florida, but I'm sure it's very nice out there. It looks nice in the back there. But what was it
Are
like?
you in the 24 hours of sun, or how does?
We're in Juneau, so we don't have the drastic extreme
Okay.
darkness that they like. We don't have 3 months of darkness like they do up north. And then in the so we have about 8 hours right now of sun, and then in the summer when you can get out and do all the fun things, it gets dark about 10:30, 11 at night, and then starts getting light again by 3:30 in the morning. So when you can get out in the summer, it's perfect. This time of year, you don't want to be out as long because it's just a little chilly. So,
So what was it like for you growing up around the Sandpiper?
oh, it was amazing. I remember following my mom and Graham. If a housekeeper didn't show up, they'd be picking me up and taking me in to clean the rooms, and following my grandpa as he filled up all the soda machines and was the maintenance man. You would never know that my grandpa was the owner of the Sandpiper because he looked like one of the maintenance men, and people that didn't know him were just shocked that this is the man that, this is how this all started. So, but yeah,
He never entered the office. That was not his domain.
Now, Paula,
And
what
Melanie,
time did you?
And Melanie,
Go ahead,
you
Chris.
started earlier than that cleaning rooms. You were only months old when we would lay you on a bed and you would sleep while we cleaned around you and went to the next bed.
I remember when we got older, Ty and I would make forts and stuff while you and Graham were working on the rooms. I do remember that. But
Yes, much to my chagrin.
Did you have a lot of employees at the time, or was it really just a family owned and operated situation?
Well, it was truly family owned and operated. In fact, it was just myself and my husband at the beginning because my dad, from the time that we broke ground until the time we were able to occupy the building, he had open heart surgery, which was really super unusual back then. In fact, Dr. Christian Bernard came and referred on his case, and he swears that he lived only because he was going to see the Sandpiper. So no, he was not there the first few weeks, and it was just us and baby Melanie.
Now, Paul, at what point did you buy units at the Sandpiper?
That was in 2014. We were
Wow.
there about 10 years.
So in 2014, you buy a couple units. 2020, whatever the year was, I try to forget it. A storm comes through and it destroys the building.
Yeah.
And when you go back to that building and see what happened, what was your first thought?
Well, it was very devastating. We loved Sandpiper. We had just got so many good memories there. It was a beautiful place, and Bonnie made it feel like family and home, and so we loved it. And so it was very devastating to see it. And we really thought about trying to fix it up, but because two of the buildings had rooms and all that first floor, they were all demolished, and even the second floor rooms all got wrecked. Our condo was on the 5th floor, so our condo didn't get wrecked, but the elevator did, and all the electrical. And as much as we tried thinking about it, and I do building down on the island right now, I knew how to do it. And I could see gradually that it was impossible. And so we had to let go of it. It was very difficult to do, but it was the only way out.
And Paul, you were saying there were 63 units.
That's
Some
correct.
people own more than one, but you had to decide because it was above the 50%. There was no way that you could rebuild. It was above the 50%. So
Yeah.
you guys had to herd the cats to decide, okay, we're going to rebuild or we're going to sell.
Yeah, so many have so many good memories. Of course, they wanted to stay, so did we. But yeah, when we started doing the numbers, I looked at it and I went down to the village and they looked at it and said, no, we're way over 50% to fix it. And so we really got blessed, though. I happened to run into Mark Wilson, the CEO of London Bay, and him and I started talking, and he made us an offer. And I negotiated with him a while. He made us an offer that gave all of us a really good price for our condo at the time. And so I just talked with him and then eventually talked with the board some more and said, I think this is the only way we can get out of this. So we did have to do that. But I just appreciate what London Bay does. Mark is just such a man of integrity. He stayed with us. We had some things that tried to hold up the sale and trying to get everybody on track. Took us quite a while, but he was just patient and waited. And I talked with him a lot through the last year, and it took us a year.
Yeah.
And eventually negotiated a sale, which closed on December 14th this last year. So
You know, that's my birthday. December 14th is my birthday.
Crazy.
That's the day we closed on the deal. We started the deal on December 19th last year. It took us a year to negotiate that and work out all the details. But again, we had a lot of help, but Mark and his company were really good. In fact, their lawyer even helped us figure out a way to get the sale to go through because there was a lot of litigation that we needed to do. But we worked at it patiently and slowly, and eventually we got it. And it's the best outcome that we could have hoped for, given the situation. We didn't want to do it, but it's the best outcome we could do. And it was hard to see the building come down. I drove by the other day when I was working out there, and to see the building gone now, it's like, what a sad thing. And yet, it's part of the storm. And then the good part is we're really blessed to have somebody who's going to come and build a really nice building there. I talked with Mark, and London Bay has a beautiful plan, and they do excellent work. And so we're just really happy that it's going to be at least another nice building there for many more people to spend great time on the beach.
So Chris and Melanie, when you guys, I'm sure you saw some of the pictures of the buildings coming down. I mean, when you saw those pictures, what went through your mind after the history and the many years that you've had there?
Go ahead, Melanie.
I mean, it's super sad and it's a part of, our family, but I'm also thankful that the beach is coming back and there's going to be another property there that is hopefully going to have as many amazing memories as we did, So yeah, it was sad, but change happens, and so much more of people lost their lives. I can't feel super heartbroken over buildings when people lost everything, so
That's right.
Now, Chris,
I have one thing I say about my parents taught me is resilience and to embrace positive change. And I look back and I think, how would they have viewed this? And we view this as another bump in life that you just need to move on. And it was strange. We were going off the beach when they were demolishing just the other day, and my husband swung in, and I thought we were going to get run off by the demo people, but instead they embraced us. I just said who I was, and they actually peeled the letters off the sign and gave it to me. Wow. And after that, a young man, I forget his name, walked up. What was his name? Chris. His name was Chris. How could I forget? Anyway, and he introduced himself as being with London Bay, and it was a delightful exchange, and just lets you know that life goes on. And I just feel confident that London Bay will carry on the spirit of the beach that we all are hoping for.
Yes, they will. They will.
So can you share some of your fond memories of back in the day, people that came and stayed, people that bought there? What kind of, back then, what was the feeling back then? Because I can imagine it was amazing.
Who's going first? Well, I'll start.
Not us.
What was it? It was all about family. I mean, it sounds really like almost corny, but we were all family that was involved, and we embraced family. In fact, at that time there was such a need for motel rooms that we had people stay in our home because our rooms weren't ready. They had to wait a day or two, so we just invited them into our home and they stayed. And so I say the thing about the people that came was it wasn't a party place, it was family. And therefore we instituted family things like Easter egg hunts, and Santa came by boat and had a gift for every child that came. And just things like that. And because we were raising our kids there, we wanted the environment that we could bring our kids down to the pool and to be with us. So that was special. And through it, our kids met really wonderful people that came year after year. In fact, Melanie went up to Chicago and stayed with a family up there because the two girls had played together at the Sandpiper every day. But that's enough. Somebody else take the stage.
Chris, I just want to say Bonnie still did the Easter egg hunt these last couple of years. It was still a
Really?
family environment. That was one of the great things at Sandpiper. It was a family
Well, do you know
environment.
that my mother was the original bunny, and there was a gal on the beach. I can't forget her name, but I remember her dog's name because it was a Great Dane named Fancy. But she and her husband actually created this bunny outfit, and Mother was the only one that could fit into it. And so she hopped around and was the bunny for years. And so our kids grew up with Grandma the Bunny. It was just really cool.
Yeah, and how many eggs did we dye and stuff? And not only did we do Easter egg contests or hunts for the younger kids in front of Sandpiper 2 or at Sandpiper 1, and then Sandpiper 2 was for the older kids, so we'd hide them a little more, harder. But then we had like egg races during the day on the beach. We had egg tosses.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a full fun day. And I'm so glad that they continued it. I think that is amazing.
I didn't know that either. That's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I think Mother probably rolled over in her grave on that one. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that was because Bonnie was there, and she really set that up. And then, of course, the people loved it, and the board was in favor of it. And so we continued that family spirit.
Awesome. Awesome. So appreciate it. Do you remember seeing Melanie's footprints in the door? It would have been on the right side where the steps go up to the office building. And there's a man door. That used to be the main entrance of the Sandpiper. And right next to that were Melanie's footprints from when she was under a year old.
I missed that. Sorry, Melanie. I missed that.
That's okay. I had some there, and then I also had a few down by the steps going down to the beach. I had a couple different ones down there, and I think I had a little one over at Sandpiper 2 also.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, Melanie, did you go to the Beach Elementary School and is it handprints that they put in there?
I did not. I went to Sandcastle Kindergarten, and then I went to Canterbury through 6th grade. So I did not go to the beach school.
Beach school.
Now, Chris, do you still own property on the beach? You still live in the area, correct?
Absolutely. We live on Williams Drive, and we were FEMA'd out on our house too. And again, it's strange when we're in the building back process where we're 3/4 through, and it's funny how such a tragedy can actually be a gift. Sometimes things come wrapped in really pretty strange packages, and we feel the gift is there because we want our kids to have that same memory on Fort Myers Beach, and we love our new house, and like I said, embrace change when it's positive.
Yeah.
So what year did you sell the Sandpiper? It was built in 1969, and was it all? Now, was it three buildings? Was it 3 buildings when it came down, Paul?
Yes, 3 buildings.
Yeah.
Well,
So did you have 3 buildings?
There's
4?
the office, and then there's the 2
right.
smaller.
But Reynolds, there were 3 buildings. We called it Sandpiper 2. I don't know if they kept that designation, but yes, that was built later. And then we sold it, to answer your question, we sold it 30 years later. We owned it 30 years.
Okay, how much did you sell it for?
$10 million.
$10 million. So Paul, the building, the property, because there's no building. If I remember right, it was a $30 million, or was it 28 or 32? I mean, I know if I look it up, I can find it.
It was 25 million is what we sold it for. Primarily the land. The lot was worth that.
Yeah.
Right. There.
Right. Wow. That's how things.
But again, I'll say that London Bay was good to us. They made us a really nice offer, and we've just been really blessed by them.
So, Chris, on Williams Drive, so you said you were FEMA'd out, which is something that's a statement or phrase I've never heard before. So you're over the 50%. So did you have to demolish your house, or did you just sell the property the way it was?
No, we demolished our house. It was a 1962 concrete block, on slab. And we only had 4.5 feet of water, but, then there's a lot of buts that go on. And it was just the logical thing to do. So we demolished our house, but with only 4.5 feet of water, we kept a lot of family things. The only thing we truly lost that we cared about were all the photos from the Sandpiper and of anything that was family pictures. Right. They were sitting in a box.
What did you do with all the photos?
They went out with the
No,
storm.
they were lost.
Oh, you lost them. Oh, geez. I thought you were able to save them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, did you say you sold the property on Williams, or you keep it? You
No,
kept it?
no, we're there building. Yeah.
Oh,
building
okay.
back.
Nice.
We can't
So,
leave the beach. We love the beach too much. We got to stay there.
The beach is nice.
Melanie, you're in Alaska. You coming back, or?
I want to hear this, Melanie.
Ask my mom how I got to Alaska in the first place.
Yeah. Why are you in Alaska?
Well, my mom moved here back in '87. So
Met the park ranger and got married.
Met a park ranger,
Oh,
got
wow.
married, stayed 20 some years, and they're snowbirds now. So they're down in the warmness down there, for the right now, and then they're up here with us for the summer and stuff. But yeah, she moved, and then I came up and I realized how amazingly gorgeous Alaska is. And I lived up here for a little bit, and then this was in my early 20s. And then I went back to Florida. I was a manager at the Sandpiper, went back to college, but knew full well that eventually I wanted to raise my kids up here because it's, if the beach was the same as when I grew up, there would be no question about where I'd want to raise my kids. Cause I just had such a great, not that the beach is, it was just a different time back then, and the beach is still amazing. We still like to go visit. We love it down there, but Alaska definitely has our hearts. We like to get out and do all the fun things in nature that it's just too hot down there to do.
Do you know who Melanie married? Melanie married the best maintenance man we ever had at the Sandpiper.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
Don't tell Ted that, Mom. Ted was one of our maintenance men we had for 20 some years there.
Ted was like a member of the family, and then Michael came in and worked side by side with Ted as he was retired. Ted Gamsky. He was so much a part of the Sandpiper. I hope somebody that's listening will remember Ted. He was special. And he took Michael under his arm, and one day Melanie called me and she said, I met the man I'm going to marry. And that's how it all happened.
Nice.
So they were actually married at the Sandpiper.
Oh, wow.
Down in front
Yeah,
of
she sent Melanie, you sent me a couple of pictures of well, you sent me a lot of pictures, which are really cool. So thank you for that. So Paul, what do you think London Bay is going to build on that property? I mean, what is it going to be? Something that you think the community will embrace?
Yes, I think they will. I think they're going to put in some condos, maybe 1,000, 1,200 square feet that people can probably live in full time. And then there'll probably be some rentals, although there'd be more rentals down at Outriggers where that was. But they're going to put a really nice building there. And I think it's going to really bring in people, the same type of people that Sandpiper had. People who are down to earth, who just enjoy the beach, who love to be there. And so I think it'll continue the culture that's already at down on Fort Myers Beach. The sweetness, the family values, those are high things for London Bay. And so I think it's going to be some nice residences where a family could come and stay if they want to, or they could come just for 6 months or whatever.
Oh, so Chris and Paul, so as you see what's going on the beach now, obviously you had a storm. We don't live down there. People remind us of that all the time. And you see how things are changing. There's some pretty big developments that are coming up. and you don't know if they're going to be approved or not. But Chris, when you see what's going on now, I get the impression that it doesn't really bother you that much because you're okay with change. Am I wrong?
No, I'd qualify that. I'm okay with what I feel is positive change. I think, and always have thought that Fort Myers Beach has a very special vibe, and it's just what Paul was talking about. And as long as through this change we can embrace those same values, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I don't think, I admit I don't want another Miami. I don't want another Key Biscayne. I don't think a lot of people do. And I really like what Paul was saying. And that's the direction I'd love to see it go.
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah. And Chris, you're going to live down there. The people of Fort Myers Beach will keep the culture that's there.
Mm-hmm.
But we need people like London Bay who have the resources to create some buildings for us. But the nature and the tone will be done by the people who are there. And so it will continue. In fact, I watched what went on. I was so touched by what went on at Buttonwood that they would right away, they started helping out one another after the hurricane. They gave things away. I saw people working down there, volunteering. That kind of spirit, that's what's going to keep Fort Myers the way it was. It's never going to become Miami because there aren't Miami people there. They're good.
Well, and it is all about the people. And it does boil down not to numbers, but how people, their values, do they live out their values in the community?
Right.
And it's about people.
Well, Chris, are you keeping track of what you see? You see the different proposed developments. Do you feel like some of them are, London Bay does have a pretty big development that they're trying to get through where the outrigger was. Same area, beloved place on the south end of Fort Myers Beach. Same kind of atmosphere, I think, that the Sandpiper created for families coming down. It's 17 stories in one building, and then there are other buildings that are being proposed that are fairly large, and it's a question mark as to whether they're all going to be approved or not. You just don't know. So when you're watching that take place, what do you think? Does it look to you like it's leaning toward getting too tall?
I gotta say yes. I'm not. I really don't like to see that. I'll be honest. That's my personal opinion.
Sure.
And but it's America, and people are entitled to do what they're, to a certain extent, to within the rules of what is allowed by the law. So I can't say, oh, they're allowed to do that, and I have to let it go. But personally, no, I would not like to see that. I'd like to see a much lower cap. I think that's the benefit of Margaritaville, that they kept it down. So, that's personally how I feel. That we could have built, when we built the Sandpiper, we could have built much, much taller. At the first Sandpiper 1, and we could have built Sandpiper 2 much, much taller. And we just, out of respect for what we felt the beach was, we didn't do that.
And that's just like 69 is way before incorporation, and you're run by Lee County. And at the time, Lee County, it seemed like, was allowing taller buildings.
We could have done anything. It was wide open.
Really?
But that's not what allured us to the beach, and therefore we weren't there to make the beach something different. We were there to embrace the beach for what we loved it as. And so I still have that mentality, right or wrong, that's honestly how I feel about it.
Back in 69, when you guys built, what is what you built kind of what everybody was doing, or what did the beach look like back then?
It looked a little bit like it does now, a lot of vacant lots, but
wide open.
But as far as, the outrigger, you look at all of us we're all about the same age, and we were raising kids, the outrigger, the carousel, the Neptune, all of us. If you look at it, we're all what you would call garden. We called ourselves, I don't know, garden motels. Garden, what did they say? Yeah. And I think so. We were all in that same mindset that that's what we embraced. But and then the first high rise came in on the south end, and that was opened up a whole new Fort Myers Beach. So yeah, we saw a lot of change.
Paul, anything you want to add about what you see as far as the way the building is going, and your thoughts on how things are coming across the proposal table?
Yeah, well, I do a lot of building. Like I say, I'm helping rebuild some of the houses out there on Fort Myers Beach, and they have to be raised up. That's one of the deals. But I also know from building that there's only so much land, and to accommodate the people, in order to bring people back to the beach, you almost have to go up because there isn't enough land to go low. Margaritaville was blessed that they got that much land, but down on the south end, it isn't that way. And many of the buildings there already are 12 or 14 stories high. So I think some new buildings that go a little higher, they won't stick out because they're all about that high on the south end. But I think the big thing is that if we want to bring people back to Fort Myers Beach, you need enough space, which means you have to go up because there's not a lot of space out there. Where Sandpiper was, for that to accommodate more people, they have to go up. I think the plans are good. I saw just some of the plans for Outrigger where that was, and that's going to be a beautiful building, but it's also going to have a beautiful restaurant, which the South End doesn't have many of those right now. And It's going to be a tiki bar, which was one of our favorite places to go. Tiki bar there, and now it's gone. So to put that back just gives that flavor of the beach again. So I think the plans to me look really good. And like I say, I've seen what London Bay has built, and I've talked with Mark Wilson quite a bit about this. And they built some of the nicest buildings. And
They do.
They're people of integrity. They're going to make it so that it's pretty and keep what's on the beach there. And so I'm pretty happy with what I see developing, and nobody else is going to do it. The beach needs somebody with the resources to come in and do that. And so I think it's beautiful that somebody would come in and build a beautiful building that can be used and sort of fits the landscape that's there already. So I'm pretty happy about it. I am.
I don't know. If you want the public out there that's watching to know this, but in some way you're related to Heidi and Bruiser, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. For a long time, we rented from them first, and now we stayed in touch. That's why we worked at Buttonwood, where Heidi runs that, and we help get stuff for people. Yeah, we're part of that whole thing of the family spirit that's down on the island.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's been a joy seeing what's going on. I've tracked all of this because we had property there for 10 years now, and we've been coming down there for 11 years. So it's a beautiful place to come to. And I know the people of Fort Myers Beach have worked hard to recreate it. And if they stay there and they keep speaking the values that we're talking about and that family spirit, it's going to stay there. And then the developers who come in and build buildings can't take that away. They just build the buildings which Fort Myers Beach needs. And then we just are able to fill those with people who really care. So I just see it developing really well. And I think we all have to work together. It's really one big family out on the island there. And we just need to work at this and work with the village. I know the people down at the village because I've talked to them, and they make some considerations for different groups. So I think the whole thing is developing pretty good. It's going to take a while yet. Santini Plaza is coming along a little bit, but we really need that on the south end. But they're going to be able to rebuild that, which is a really nice thing. But then there's some other ones. Some of the hotels are opening up. We know people on EBT, Estero Beach and Tennis Club.
That's open.
And they just opened up, and they're ready. This week they started. So some of them, the ones that can, are coming back, and the ones that couldn't have to be taken down. And then we just have to have somebody come in to help recreate the atmosphere again so that we can keep the spirit that's down there on Fort Myers Beach. I'll be a part of it for a long time.
All right, Paul, we're going to let you go. I know you had an appointment that you changed, but we appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you down on the beach, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you. Take care,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
So, Melanie, one of the things I wanted to ask you was, what was the question I was going to ask you? No, I'm just kidding.
You're not.
You have a different perspective. You're not down here with the rest of us. What do you, when you watch and see what's going on with the rebuild, and you had a childhood when you were young, you were down on the beach and growing up through the years when it was less populated. What do you think of what you see?
Well, it's it is what it is at this point. I'm just glad to see the beach being rebuilt back again. It's shocking. Like they always said, we're going to have when hurricanes came, my family, we never left. We would always stay on island with the Sandpiper. We'd get rid of all the guests and we'd always stay. And so, when you have a huge hurricane like Ian, it changes things in many ways, and that's going to be one of them. Is the island is going to change a little. I hope it still keeps a lot of the old island feel, which I think it has. So far so good. It does. Do I want 17-story buildings down by where the outrigger was? No, but I have no control over a lot of things, so
I have a question. I have a question on that I wonder how Melanie feels, but also I feel that I kept hearing Paul talk about numbers, that we need to get more people back, numbers. And I'm wondering, when are there enough numbers?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's already so crazy. I can't imagine putting more and more people on that island. That scares me.
Yeah. I think in all of I think how in both places I live up in Alaska too, we go back there and we see the same thing. And I've said to the city up there, once you do it, you can't go back. You can't get it back. So if you make this decision and you make these decisions to add more people to that piece of property, that's what it's going to be. You can't take it back. So be careful. And it's just a personal thing. And I don't have the answer to when is too many people, too many, but I hear about these buildings going up and they're talking about how many stories and how many places they're putting in, how many. And I think that's a little scary.
So just remind me. So just to recap, the Sandpiper, as you guys had it, how many units were there? So how much density was there originally?
I don't know in the ratio. I forget what the ratio was that we had to abide by at the time, but there were 63 units. Yeah.
And were they one bedroom? Like
they were large for that time, one bedroom efficiencies, and that they had a regular stove and a regular refrigerator, but it wasn't a separate room. But then when Sandpiper 2 was built, we did build some actual one bedroom where they had a separate bedroom.
And Paul was telling us that 63 were sold, so it doesn't sound like it changed over the years since it was
no.
built, rather. So, Chris, do you share your opinions with any of the politicians on Fort Myers Beach? Do you talk to them? Do you?
No, in fact, I'm kind of surprised I'm on here. I keep pretty low profile. I just, yeah.
Well, I think you should. You share your opinion with people. I mean, there's some big decisions that are going to be made in the next few years, and those decisions that are going to be made will have a lot to do with how people get elected too, because it's hard to tell, especially from our page, how people. I mean, everybody seems like they're afraid of heights, but I don't know if those people that are afraid of heights on Fort Myers Beach actually have a vote on whether or not, that matters. Because a lot of the people that watch our page could be people that are from out of town. They don't own property down there, and they don't, they might not want to see it grow higher. But there could be people that live on the beach that want to see it higher. I mean, so it's hard to tell unless you have people like yourself who have property on the beach that share your opinion, because I think it really means a lot to those 5 people on the council and the LPA members when they hear from people that have property and how they feel about it. I'm certainly not saying go and chat with them, but it's the way that you present
Yes, you
yourself
are.
tonight. It was like you would think, Melanie, don't you agree? It would be a good thing for them to hear from your mom.
I mean, my mom's going to do exactly what my mom's going to do. So
I see.
So, but yeah, I think that we do need to be more vocal about certain things. Is it going to make a difference? I don't know, but if you don't do it just because you don't think your voice is going to be heard, you're never going to get anything done. You're never going to get those goals accomplished and stuff. But yeah, I get my mom's side too. She's ready to just be a retired person living on the beach and not having to deal with all the politics that we had to. I was on the beach living there when we did incorporate. And I remember that time when it was just divisive and crazy and like, yeah. So I understand not getting involved that way.
Well, but that isn't really what stops me from doing that. I'll be honest with you. It's the fact that I don't think anyone's going to listen. And when big groups, it takes big dollars. I get that. It took big dollars in our time, 50 years ago. It took big dollars to get the Sandpiper for that era. Fortunately, there were handfuls of us families that could swing that with big loans. But now I know these are big companies coming in, and they look at these new buildings in new buildings in Fort Myers Beach in dollars and cents and numbers. And that's just a little rough. That isn't in keeping when I said keep the island vibe. That's not in keeping with that. And, but so is that where people want it to go? That's the big question.
Well,
and
I'm going to risk you coming through the screen and kicking my ass, Chris, but I will only disagree with you on one thing. I really do think they listen to, especially the way that you're explaining it, they really do listen to the residents on the beach. And part of the thing that I hear from them is, if I don't hear from somebody or if they don't really say this and that, then maybe it is okay to go bigger or not bigger, whatever. I'm not trying to take sides or anything. We don't live on the beach. We don't have a vote. I always get accused of one thing or the other because of just covering the issues. But I do think it means a lot to, especially the town council. They do want to hear from people that live on the beach, and it does have an impact. Not only because I think they want to hear from you, but because they need to get reelected. And this, especially this 5 on the town council and the 7, 6 now, but eventually 7, they will be remembered for building this beach back.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the next
they have
decade.
A lot on their shoulders. Yeah.
Good or bad. And, whether it's the outrigger that's 17 or the Neptune, whatever they're proposing, I mean, they're all going to have to come before, though none of them have really come before either of those bodies, and they're going to. And that one LPA meeting or town council meeting where that's finally on the screen, not our screen, but on the big screen. And if there's nobody there to voice their opinion, I mean,
it's interesting. We have people working on our house, and we're renting in Cape Coral right now. And these people are from Cape Coral, and when their comment on Fort Myers Beach just the other day was, we've lost our bit of paradise. We've lost it because and this is people that would come on to the beach, like they always want to bring people, and they said, we've lost it because they're just going to build up. And that's really a sad thing for the whole area, I believe. And so, I listen. I may not always speak up, but I do listen to what people say. And I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like I do.
Well, the interesting thing to that is that nothing has been approved. Not a single tall building has been approved. There's only one.
People are afraid, though. People are afraid. you know.
Well, they see
feel
what's being proposed, and yeah, they're
Right.
getting nervous.
Right.
Yeah. They're afraid and they feel powerless. I think that's normal. You see companies with lots of money, and then money means power. I mean, that's how we think in our world. Money means power, and so the person that's saying that certainly doesn't feel empowered. They feel that they're powerless to voice it. You know.
Melanie, what do you think?
I thought that there was a cap on the height of buildings on the
There
beach
is.
already.
There
There's
is.
not with the CPD.
Well,
you can ask for whatever you want.
Right.
But then they can ask for it, but that doesn't necessarily mean
That doesn't mean they're going to get it, but they
Right.
can ask for it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if Margaritaville can come and be that many stories and still have a really amazing, footprint on the island and stuff, I don't see why other excuse me.
You're in Alaska.
Choking.
It's snowing out there or something, or
No, but they had 60 inches in 2 weeks up in January up there.
holy moly!
Yeah, that's
no,
when
thank
when my
you.
beach self is like, what am I doing here exactly?
Yeah. What is the coolest animal you've seen outside your house?
Bears.
The
Probably.
bears.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't have moose here. But we definitely have bears all over because we live
Big grizzlies.
Oh yes. No, mostly black bear, but
mostly black bear. But when the
Really?
salmon run, we live over by the glacier, Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center area. So we have lots of when the salmon start running, we get lots of bears back in here. So
What's the coldest temperature that has been since you've been there?
It's been in the negatives a few times. Since we're on the ocean, we don't get the crazy cold weather that they get up north. Even Haines, which is only 90 miles north of us, the difference in temperature is amazing. So
Do you have any sled dogs?
yeah, there's actually a tour. We get lots of cruise ships here, and they do it up on one of the glaciers here. We're surrounded by an ice cap, Juneau ice cap, the ice fields, and a bunch of glaciers and salt water. It's the only capital.
Melanie, you do have a I have to correct you. You do have a sled dog. You have Hazel. She has a part Alaska husky, and his name is Hazel, which happens to be my mother's name.
Oh.
I told you we're sappy, family oriented.
I
love huskies. I used to have a husky, and then I had an Alaskan Malamute, which was
really
not down here in Florida.
Yeah,
up north. Yeah, no.
Very cool.
So, Chris, when you go by the property, the Sandpiper property now, does it get emotional for you, or you think, man, we made some great memories there? I'm good with it.
I'm good with it. Nobody can take your memories away, whether it's your house, your business. We lost our church as well, which was Chapel by the Sea. So we lost the Sandpiper, we lost Chapel, we lost our house. Life goes on, and like I said, you can't go forward looking back, but you can take your memories with you. Why do we have a little rear view mirror in our car and a great big windshield? Because we're going forward. So forward. That's how I feel.
Do you stay in touch with any of the customers, or that's probably not what they're called, or customers or people that came to the Sandpiper? I mean, over the years,
you've kind of included in your family.
Yes, we had a lot of guests that would come back every year for season, and it was the same families that came back every year.
And then their kids.
And then their kids came back, exactly. And I am still in contact with some people that I met at the Sandpiper, quite a few people actually. And yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Chris, any final thoughts before we let you guys roll?
No, this has taken me in a reflective direction that I really had not anticipated. And I thank you for that opportunity. and maybe I am glad I spoke my mind.
Yeah. Maybe you should run for town council, Chris.
Probably not.
Hey, Melanie, that wasn't a hard no. She said probably not. I can work on that.
But do come in when you're on the beach. Do come to 5590 Williams Drive and come say hello. I'd love to meet you, and hopefully we'll be in that house soon.
Thank you guys for coming on tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you so very much.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye bye.
Melanie and Chris from the Sandpiper. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
Very nice people. Yeah.
I'd like to go up to Alaska. So
there we go. Alaska, Africa.
Alaska.
You're supposed to go to Africa. You're not. And here you are in Fort Myers.
Oh, this summer I have to get my passport.
You need a passport to go to Alaska.
No, not Alaska. But
so one of the things.
No, I have a friend in Alaska, but in Anchorage.
I was getting the shirts ready for tomorrow's show because I want to make sure that we have the right shirts in case. I never like to not have the right sizes. So this was our classic shirt. This is a medium. Okay. This is really like a kid small or some. This is not a medium shirt.
It's a medium for me.
It's like if anyone's got a kid out there that wants one of our classic shirts, we're giving it. I'm gonna send it to you. Just send me an email. I want to see a kid wearing our shirt. It's a woman's shirt. It's not really a guy can't get in that shirt. That's a medium woman's shirt, but it doesn't have a V-neck. So it shouldn't be in the box of shirts that says medium. So if anyone has a kid out there, boy, it would be nice to have a kid. If anyone has a kid out there that wants to wear one of our classic shirts, you're covering up the light somehow. Wow, we got dark. There we go. You can
it's pretty big.
Just email me your mailing address and I'll send it to you for free.
Did you figure out your stupid football thing?
No, I don't think anyone picked the right score. I don't think anyone thought that the 49ers were going to lose 25.
Anyone had any faith in you with the math?
All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to our guests tonight. You enjoy your weekend. We'll be live tomorrow morning. I have a walk around that starts at 7:30 with Sharon Faircloth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be one long ass walk. We're walking from the Pink Shell to Diamond Head. And then we have our show at 11 o'clock. And then Sunday, we have our show at what are you doing? We have our show at 11 o'clock with the mayor and the community foundation. Tomorrow at our show, Ellie is going to be there signing books. She's bringing some books, so she's going to be there. You're shaking your head like you know. You have no idea who the guests are.
Tomorrow.
No, I won't fall on the beach. I only fall on the sidewalk. So thank you all for tuning in. Anything you want to say to your fans, dear?
Nope. Have a good evening.
Yep. Bye-bye.